Today is Friday, June 7th, 2019, and welcome to the third entry of the Buckner Sports Zone podcast. My name is Michael Buckner, president and shareholder of the Buckner Law Firm. This podcast covers topical issues impacting or influencing college, professional, and amateur sports. Today, we will revisit an issue from our last podcast where we talked about the courtside behavior of the rapper Drake and fan codes of conduct. Now, today, we're going to talk about what most of us witnessed last couple days ago when a Golden State Warriors investor shoved Toronto Raptors guard Kyle Lowry and repeatedly cursed at him during Game 3 of the NBA Finals at Oracle Arena in Oakland, California. But before I get to all that, I just want to say for those of you who are subscribers to this channel, I thank you. If you're not and you would like to hear more, please hit the subscribe button. Before we begin, I want to thank you and also to inform you that the information discussed during this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice in any manner. Do not act or refrain from acting upon this information without seeking professional legal counsel. So let's get started. Last week we talked about, during one of the games in the Eastern Conference Finals, the rapper Drake had walked behind the Raptors head coach and gave him a shoulder massage. And there's a big uproar in the media about, his actions and whether or not he should be doing those types of acts toward a coach. And we talked about last week about codes of conduct that several professional leagues have and or individual franchises and the legal issues involving codes of conduct. And ironically, after we had a conversation, in Game 3 of the NBA Finals, we had an investor of the Golden State Warriors, Mark Stevens, who actually shoved Raptors guard Kyle Lowry during Game 3. And the internet just really reacted, including LeBron James got involved and said something on his social media platforms and all the sports media entities and talking heads were talking about it. And it really got a lot of people thinking further about, hey, what are we doing here? Should there be such close proximity between the fans on those courtside seats and the players? But let me tell you what ESPN.com reported. They reported that the NBA has banned Golden State's Warrior investor Mark Stevens for one season and has fined him $500,000 after the team executive shoved Toronto Raptors guard Kyle Lowry and repeatedly cursed at him during Game 3 of the NBA Finals at Oracle Arena. The ban is effective immediately and includes all Warrior team activities. It will carry through the 2019-20 season and postseason, the league said Thursday. Stevens, who was seated courtside Wednesday night, was ejected early in the fourth quarter for shoving Lowry after the guard crashed into a row of seats while trying to save the ball from going out of bounds. Lowry confirmed Thursday that Stevens, 59, also directed obscene language his way multiple times during the incident. So, ESPN.com and all the other sports entities and news outlets were reporting something similar. So, of course, the franchise of Golden State Warriors and NBA acted by banning him for 1 year from all team activities. But it goes beyond a much more broader legal concept. And now that we've had like a serious incident now, I mean, what happened with rapper Drake? That was a personal space issue. Technically, because of the unwanted touching, they could, technically it's a battery. But the head coach, he knows Drake. So it wasn't that serious. It's more of a concern. Now we have an actual issue which someone seated courtside seat actually physically inappropriately touched a player. And how the NBA games are structured in terms of seating, you have those very, very expensive courtside seats where the fans, paying public, are literally on the floor with the players. And I am surprised that this doesn't go on. What happened in Game 3 of the NBA Finals doesn't go on more often. And so I think you're probably going to see the NFL, especially the NBA, not the NFL, but especially the NBA, since the paying public is so close to the players. I'm sure they are going to be looking at this closer during the off season and working with the individual franchises. And if they're not, they should, because this should be a warning, a last warning to the NBA that they can have their product, which are the players, be seriously injured if there was some type of much more serious physical altercation between those in the courtside seats and the players playing on the floor. And hopefully the NBA, and as well as other sports entities, franchises, organizations, leagues, look at this incident and say, hey, maybe we need to revisit our fans' code of conduct. Because what happens in a situation if, let's say, for example, in a Game 3 incident, the investor shoves the Kyle Lowry, and then those two get in a fight, and then the fight ends up breaking into a larger fight among fans in the audience, and some of the players get involved, and they start fighting fans. And then someone who is not even involved in the altercations gets injured. Now you have a situation where you're going to have a lot of potential lawsuits if someone gets seriously injured. Because as we all know, one fight can lead to other fights, especially when you're in such a crowded environment, such as the NBA Finals game, with a lot of passion and emotion involved. And so I just think that this should be another learning lesson for the NBA and others in the sports arena that, one, need to look at strengthening codes of conduct. And in terms of if you're involved in touching, getting involved in the play, or any other inappropriate behavior, that there's going to be banning involved, including from 1 year, 6 months to a lifetime ban, and be able to delineate what type of behavior will constitute a certain type of ban. So at least you have some type of process involved, so people are well aware of what the consequences of their behavior. And I think that the NBA and other sports leagues need to look at, okay, is it a good idea to have fans that close onto the court? What are some of the legal implications of that? So I think the NBA is probably going to be looking at this, and I'm sure other sports leagues are going to be looking at this. So it's just be interesting to see if there's going to be any changes at all for the rest of the finals and for next year during the NBA season. So, but I'll be keeping a update on this, to look at this and look at what other leagues are doing or other sports entities are doing in terms of fan interaction, fan behavior, with codes of conduct and other type of regulations or rules. So if any of you guys have any other thoughts on that, don't hesitate to email me at michaelbucknerlaw@gmail.com. So thanks again for joining us on today's short podcast. We'll be back in the next couple of days with another entry of current and pressing sports legal issues or legal issues impacting sports. If you have any questions or like a topic to be discussed during a future podcast, please email me at michaelbucknerlaw@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend.